Hello and welcome to this discussion of a new Orders and Results interface for TMH Allscripts users. This involves KWB pathology orders. This involves 7 different orders that will now go out electronically through the system, and the results come back electronically, helping to eliminate some paper and manual processes. The workflow for ordering these and managing these results will be predominantly the same as with other labs like LabCorp and Quest. However, a few exceptions. First, some required clinical questions will be present on some of these orders that are KWB needs in order to make sure they can process your orders in a timely fashion. Secondly, some sites will choose to receive these pathology results back to a team rather than the ordering provider. This allows for a centralized abnormal pap smear, abnormal pathology tracking system prior to the result being forwarded on then to the ordering provider to do the typical Allscripts results verification process. Now, all users should have a KWB Lab Orders order group at the time of launch of this interface. So this order group lives in your orders area, yellow folder if you don't have any already, and that folder will give you quick access to the 7 different KWB orders. If for some reason you don't have the folder, you do have the option of searching for it either by name or searching KWB, and you will find these orders. We're going to go through an example of a SurePath pap cytology. When I select the order details box launches, showing you that there are required clinical questions indicated by the yellow color. Many of the other questions were already being filled out by clinical staff on the previous paper requisitions that KWB supplied, so it is good to add this information as well when possible. Some of the drop-down boxes will be either just a null or a yes, meaning you will only see a yes. You just leave it null or blank if the answer is no, so you can skip those. You can give some more information about the clinical diagnosis, whether it's screening or previous abnormal. Certain other indicators about the patient, HPV vaccination status, and another important one is for co-testing. Do you want high-risk HPV testing? Do you want gonorrhea chlamydia testing, or do you want both? The other required question here is what is the specimen? So the typical cervix, endocervix specimen, with the rest of them having to do with Medicare Advanced Beneficiary Notice. Do you want someone in particular to get a copy of the report, hysterectomy, birth control status? So once you've filled out at least the required items and any other information, the yellow goes away, and I can now get ready to commit this order. All KWB orders will default the performing location to KWB pathology, and the send to performing location's action status, it helps to make sure it goes out the interface rather than just be recorded into the system. And then the print copy dialog box will allow us to take a preview of the requisition that will print. So I'm going to save and close. That order is living here within my order section. I'm going to commit, save and continue, and provide a print preview. The preview of the lab requisition will show the site, the performing facility, the patient demographics, the order with the order code, the electronic signature pulled in for the provider. The clinical questions that were answered will all show on this, as well as be in the electronic message that goes to KWB. And the diagnosis code, which was selected at the beginning as well. I now want to transition to electronic results for KWB. So I'm showing you a task list where there is a verify patient results task. Single clicking the item will show me that this has to do with a traditional PAP cytology report. And this one is assigned directly to the provider. Alternatively, the KWB results might return to a team assigned to the results team. This is just an example. And we will follow this workflow of clinical staff managing from the team, which the first step would be for them to double click on the results task. It will take them to the work list view of the desktop, which gives you the results area on the right-hand screen and the patient's chart on the left-hand screen. Since it won't necessarily be assigned to the clinical staff, the way that they would view that result would be to switch their work list view to what's called the patient order result view. And this should probably be alternatively, they have access to the result over in the chart viewer, either in the chart viewer section or the results tab. They could open it either way, accessing that report, noting the information. The KWB results have a very bland textual look to them, similar to what we currently get on paper. If I am to open up an example report, you'll notice that the result section just says see report. Well, the report is the area right below, and the area right below is basically broken out into 3 sections. The very top part that says clinical really has to do with those questions that you answered when you first put in the order. And then the second section, usually indicated by a diagnosis indication or a specimen and interpretation indication. That will be the second section, and then many times below that will be other like more detailed microscopic or gross description of the specimen. So just be aware that the actual diagnosis, it's not able to be bolded or highlighted in any fashion, but it's usually going to be in the middle of the textual report that you get, much as it is today. So if a clinical staff is managing this to be placed on a callback log, abnormal PAP tracking log, they would come and see this report. Then they would jump back to the task list that they are managing with the results team, and they would reassign that task. How would you reassign a verify results task? Well, if you're going from provider to provider, you would use the update provider button on the work list. If you're switching from one provider to another because the lab routed it to the wrong provider, this is the way that you would reassign the lab results. But when you're reassigning from a team to a provider, you're going to just reassign the task. So I'm going to click Details on my task list, and then it tells you that this task is currently assigned to the results team. I'm now going to switch for this example here, that this is now going to be sent to the ordering provider. Set that ordering provider, and now it's assigned to the ordering provider. They will see this Verify Patient Results task just like they do for any other lab from LabCorp Quest TMH Lab. And so they would double click the item, they would see the result, review the result, then they would use their verify options. The verify all ... option allows them to go through the normal workflow of call, schedule, or mail results to the patient. If they're not going to do that, either because they've already discussed it with them or there was something that said test wasn't performed, they can use one of these non-communication options. If you choose call, you would type in this box, message to staff. If you choose mail, you would type your message to the patient in the message to patient box. If you would like a small asterisk with an annotation on the lab result to live in the chart forevermore, you would type in the annotations box. Here, this works well for single results, not so well for multiple results, CBC, CMP, lipid panel, because whatever you type in this box will be attached to every individual panel or test that you order. Remember that while you're in the results verification box, you have access to the chart. Up here in the upper right, the quick chart can give you access to other information, and you also have access to the future appointments if the patient has an upcoming appointment that might guide you with what you decide to do with your choices up here. So the ground we have covered is 7 new KWB pathology orders now electronically ordered and resulted. Required clinical questions to make sure results are obtained timely. Some practices getting the results back initially to a team for tracking purposes. So the goal is to eliminate some of the paper and manual processes for managing pathology results. Thanks for watching and listening. Hope this has been helpful. Don't hesitate to reach out to the Allscripts team.